We're gonna talk to some people, gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna talk to some people, gonna learn a lot of stuff. We're gonna talk to some people, gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna talk to some people, gonna learn a lot of stuff. Cause Kristin knows blank.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Kristin Knows Blank podcast. This week I have another hilarious comedian. We're going to talk about something he's super into and play a few games. But before we get to that, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please take a second to like, follow, and subscribe. However you're listening or watching, there's going to be a little button somewhere around that says like, follow, or subscribe. Push that button and see what happens. You could get your identity stolen. I don't know. Hi, I'm Kristin Key. I'm the host of this crazy mess, and you can find me through my website, kristinkey.com. There you can follow me on all my social media, subscribe to my YouTube page, join the Patreon, and big shout out to all the patrons out there. Hi, keyholes, keisters, and latchkey kids. We have a really good time. There's bonus content, there's memes, there's games, there's a monthly game night, so join the Patreon. If nothing else, it supports this and all my shows. Now, my guest this week is a hilarious comedian. He's out of Chicago. He's the host of the podcast Singles Only, and his Dry Bar special is coming out real soon. Hey, computer lady, play that interview with Paul Farahvar.
Playing interview with Paul Farahvar.
Paul, thank you for joining the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my God. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a bit.
Yeah, I think it was about 2 years ago. We were in Oklahoma together.
Oklahoma City. That's right.
Oklahoma City, which
That's
was,
right.
I was there last week and they were singing your praises there.
Oh, I love to hear people sing, especially when it's about me. Aw.
Not everyone can sing like you can.
Shit. This is going to be a great podcast. All praise for me. I do this podcast because I love working with comics. I loved working with you. My favorite part is honestly when we're off stage and we're just hanging out and we get to know each other. And this podcast really is, it's about what comics get into when we're not in comedy. And I'm always fascinated by our guilty pleasures. Like, I love crocheting and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and quilting. And I was so excited to learn how deep you go into Facebook Marketplace. And I wanted to talk to you about that today, because that's something I know. Usually I know something about the topic. I know nothing about this topic.
Okay. Yeah, so I had a lot of things during the pandemic. I had a lot of time, sudden fluid, lots of time. And I also had a lot of transitions where I had closed my law firm and my parents, we were selling their house of 39 years with stuff that they haven't thrown anything away for 39 years. So wow. I started selling everything. I made it so that if I didn't write that day as a comedian, I would put something on sale and write like a copy that would be like kind of funny or kind of like entertaining. And that was like, okay, that was like my escape for the pandemic. But then after the pandemic, I just kept doing it because we still had to sell a bunch of stuff. And I was good at it. Like, I was just good at it. And it was fun too, because like you meet all these people. And I know people are always like afraid about Facebook Marketplace, and maybe there is some creeps out there, but I had a great experience. I met so many people, and like as comedians, that's what we want. We want connections, and we want to know what.
We don't think we do, but we sure do.
Yeah, like we also need to know how everyone else thinks, because we're all always in our own like echo chamber. But then you meet all these people that are nothing like you, that you would never associate with, but probably are the same people that are at our shows. And you just start making these weird connections. Like, if you're selling something crazy that they also are into, it's like, yeah, that was something, my mom collected vases or whatever.
What are some of the crazier things? If you've got a 39 years worth of parents' collectibles, what are some of the more bizarre things that you had found that you needed to get rid of?
Oh, they had a lot of weird statues and like weird
statues of what?
Statues of naked women.
See, I'm glad I asked follow-up questions, because us as the audience, we don't know what to picture. They have statues of Elvis or naked women. No, much better. Okay.
Yeah, there were some like a lot of. My dad had this wet bar growing up, and he wasn't a huge drinker, but we always had alcohol stocked, like in case all of a sudden they decided to have 100 people over, which they never did. But he had a lot of like statues of like people drinking, or like signs that said, don't trust someone that doesn't drink. And then he had also all this alcohol, like vintage alcohol that was, some was worth money, some wasn't. And actually Wayne here at the Loony bin in Arkansas, knows a lot about that stuff. So I was texting him to ask him about that stuff, what I should price these things at. But also, like, I was also selling stuff from my office, and I had a law office for years that I had stuff from an office that I had before that, where I was like a lawyer, and then I went off on my own, but I grabbed a lot of the stuff there. So I had like a bunch of, like, let's say these huge calculators that were like, you know, those old school calculators that were like almost like 7 foot. So I remember I did a copy on that and it had an American flag on it. And that was my favorite one, because I did a copy where I was like, hey, we all know that iPhones have calculators, so you don't need this. But what about grandma? She doesn't know, and she needs to calculate her bill at Applebee's. And then I was like, also, and there was a huge flag. I'm like, also, if you love America. And that thing went viral. Like, all of a sudden, I mean, I was selling it for like $2 or $1 maybe. I don't remember. But like, people were just sharing it, and like, it was kind of cool. Like, it was kind of like fun to see people like the marketplace. And I also was doing it to sell stuff too. So it wasn't like.
Is that unique to you though? Like the few that I saw when I did a very shallow dive today on Facebook Marketplace were really just to the business. This is what I'm selling. This is how much.
Yeah.
So I think I would definitely stop on an item that like had better copy, that was just like, no, you may not need this, but guess who does? I'd be like, who? You know, like.
I mean, that's how it started. But then I didn't have time to do that stuff. I mean, I had probably thousands of things that we had to sell. And so like, sometimes I would just say, here, this is the price. And I always try to write something, but during the pandemic, I had a lot more time. And so those were fun. And then people were like you, Kristin, were like, I'm buying this because your description was hilarious.
It's like merch after a show. You made me laugh. I'm going to give you money.
Yeah,
I don't care what you're selling now. You made me laugh. Yeah, it's an impulse item. Yeah.
I mean, and it was fun. I mean, like, during the pandemic, it was interesting too, because I was in Chicago. So when I say pandemic, I'm saying like lockdown. Like in Florida, there was no rules. But like,
I know me and my family had completely different pandemic experiences.
Yeah, right.
Like, I didn't leave the house in a year. They're like, oh, we went to the state fair.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we had different experiences.
And I was in Florida for a lot of it too. So like, when I would say pandemic, I'd have to pause. Like, oh, you guys, you don't know what that means. But like, but I would like hear people's like thoughts on things, and there was like a lot of political issues going on last summer, you know, and you'd hear all these different voices of people that you and I would probably never hear, like never listen to, because we're in an echo chamber of our friends and peers. And so it was fun to like kind of like hear what they had to say. And then sometimes they would say something outlandish that I'm like, okay, this person is not right. But I would like write it down. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write about it. So it became like this whole thing. And then everyone used to make fun of me, because the one bad thing about it is when you do list something, all your friends see that you're listing it, and then they're like, are you okay? Like, they'd be like, I mean, you're like selling stuff, and people are like, wait, you're selling hanging folders.
Do you need money, Paul? Do you need help? Like, yeah, I'll spot you some money. You can hang on to your folders.
Yeah, it was, but then people started to like know that what I was doing, because I was telling people, I'm like, I'm clearing out my own place too. That I was like, you know, during the pandemic, I had to clear out stuff. I was kind of a pack rat. My office and my parents' house. So it's like I had so many things to get rid of. And then the house finally sold like a month ago. But I was like, I'm gonna take a break, but I'm gonna get back to this, because I do miss it. It was fun.
Is it like you post something? Are people able to like comment on your item that you're selling?
Oh yeah, and they're mean too. There are some sites that there was like a Chicago site that's like there were people that would just roast you. They're like, really? You're selling a stapler? Or, you know, like, and they don't get it. And then I would play the role. I'd be like, what do you mean? This is a real calculator. This is an American like, I would lean into the dummy. And these people would just have no clue that I'm like having fun. Like, they're like,
who goes on a Facebook Marketplace to shit on people's sale items? You don't do a garage sale and be like, oh, you're selling a book, idiot. You know.
There was a vintage massage handle thing, like the original home massage.
Oh, okay, like the vibrator. My grandparents
Vibrating.
called that the vibrator. And so until me
Correct.
and my brothers got into high school, we were just like, get out the vibrator. We were like, oh, I know where the vibrator is. And they were like,
Yeah,
Grandma
there's.
and Grandpa called it the vibrator. Yeah.
I think when it first came out, it was called a vibrator, but then they had to change it because for obvious reasons.
Right.
But
Vibrators really got good
yeah,
and specific.
right. And it looks like it would be used for like for enjoyment, as opposed to relaxation.
I'm not saying I know exactly the product you're talking about, but I think I do, and I think it is. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's an orange. It's like an orange one. It's a vintage item that's worth some money. So I posted about it, and it just, I mean, those guys, the bullies of Facebook Marketplace just destroyed me. They're like, who wants a used vibrator? I'm like, no, it was my mom's. And I'm like, like it was no, there was no mercy. And I knew it was going to happen, and then of course my friends who are saying it, they're like, okay, this has got to stop. I'm like, no, this is like a real,
This is the fun part. How much did it sell for? How much did a used orange vintage vibrator sell for?
It was slightly used, Kristin, not just used, but
I think you should have said gently used.
didn't say gently, because that would have caused a whole nother. I think that I saw it was listed for like 60 or 70 bucks. I sold it for 30 just to get rid of it.
Okay.
And nobody bought it. So
what?
No. And then
guys, it's still, if it's still up there, I mean,
no, it's gone.
We can jump on it. We can jump on that.
We had to hire professional estate sale people towards the end, because the house sold and then we had to clear it out.
Right.
And they were just selling things for like pennies on the dollar. And then whatever
somebody went to someone's front yard at an estate sale and saw that orange vintage vibrator and got it for like a nickel.
Massage thing, not vibrator.
Sorry,
but
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think
traffic cone of pleasure.
See, that would have been a better copy actually. But yeah, I think I don't know what happened to it. Whatever didn't sell, they were going to donate to Goodwill or to Salvation Army. So like, I'm just picturing a lot of weird stuff at that Salvation Army.
So what were the hardest things that you had to sell, and then what were the things that just flew that might have surprised you?
Well, the easiest things were chairs and like furniture. Patio furniture, I guess there was a shortage. So like,
oh yeah, everybody's outside.
Everybody was buying stuff, and I underpriced that a lot because I didn't know about the shortage. So that was hard, or that was easy to get rid of. The hard stuff was like vases and like kitchenware. We had a lot of like brand new, like my mom had boxes of like spoons, forks, high-end stuff, high-end like 8-ball glasses, but those didn't sell at all. And it sucked because they were like literally in the cases, and you can see the price tag was like $40 for 8 or 4 8-balls and 8-ball glasses, you know, those I keep saying 8-ball. We're talking about the drinks.
Eyeball.
And
8-ball. I'm trying to think what an 8-ball glass is.
Maybe I'm not saying the right thing, but they're like shooter glasses that are like if you go to like a whiskey bar, they have these like nice heavy glasses.
Right.
And those never sold. And I don't know what ended up happening to them. And they were like brand new. And I forgot the brand name, but they were like a good brand name. And they were bought in like, it was fun to see the receipts that were still like in the bags. They were like from 1983. And you're like,
oh, wow.
Why doesn't anyone want this? So, but those were hard to sell. Let's see. Luggage was hard to sell. I had a lot of vintage luggage from like the 70s. The stuff that you see in movies, like what's that movie where Catch Me If You Can?
Oh, I love that movie. Yeah.
Flight attendant. Like he has all that, like, or the flight attendants in the pictures have these like vintage 60s Samsonites. My mom had those and they were in good condition, and I couldn't get rid of them.
It's so weird because like when my grandparents passed, like we went through their luggage. They had some great luggage and it's all vintage, but then we're like, that's not practical now. Like I can't carry that on. It doesn't have wheels, you know. But it's so cool looking, you know. But then you're like, what do I do with it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I just pictured like somebody that was making a movie was like, oh, I might need these. Like there was a lot of stuff that was like, there were people that were comedians and like people in the arts that would buy, like, I had a lot of vintage phones, which were hard. Like I had the first cordless phone. That one didn't sell. It's from 1982. It's like a unit. It's a considered on eBay. They were getting like $100, but I was selling for like 30. People weren't buying it.
Yeah, what is the difference between an eBay buyer and a Facebook Marketplace buyer?
I think eBay is a whole different world. Also, eBay, I learned that what they're charging versus what it actually sells for is a totally different market. I've never got into eBay. I never sold anything on eBay. I used to buy stuff on eBay a lot.
Like, do you ship stuff on Facebook, or is it more like a Craigslist meetup?
You can. There's a guy right now. I have like this chess set that he's like, please ship it to me, because I haven't sold it yet. But I'm like, I gotta go to a post office and like do all that. You can do that. I just never did. I was always doing pickup only.
Okay. When you did the like face-to-face stuff, like with Craigslist in the past, like do you ever like worry about safety? Like I would always have to meet in a public place in like a parking lot, like with a friend, because you never know.
When I first started doing it on Facebook Marketplace, I did worry a little bit, especially like because I have weird hours, so I'd meet people at nights, and but then I'm like, you know what, like what I would meet them outside, and I have a security door at my apartment, so I'm like, okay, so they know where I live now. What are they gonna do? Come steal my vases? Like what?
They know all the shitty stuff you have on your Facebook. Oh, I'm coming back for that luggage. And
then I would have them meet when I had my office downtown. I'd have them meet there. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. They can come in here and steal whatever that we didn't sell. And then I was meeting at my parents' house. The house was being sold. I was worried when they were there, but when they moved out of the house, I was like, okay, I don't care. Like you can go try to break into a house and steal all this vintage stuff that I can't sell. I mean, I'm like, worst case scenario, they do that. We have an insurance claim. So it's like a win-win.
Right.
And they review you on Facebook Marketplace too. So I have like outstanding reviews. The only thing I had bad was like, people are like, he doesn't respond quickly. Because then when I started working again, when we started having shows again, I'm like, I'm not going to respond.
What's a quick response? So how quickly do they want you to respond?
I mean, some things I would leave for a couple of days. You're supposed to, I don't know. You're supposed to respond within 24 hours. And I usually did. But if they're like, can I come grab, this Mickey Mouse plate? Mickey Mouse stuff sells really, really well. My brother had a lot. I'm like, I'm out of town till, whatever. And because I was in Florida for a month and I was like, I'm not going to respond. So that did hurt my ratings quite. But everything else was like, if you read it, the comments are like, this guy's on time. He's so nice. And honestly, Kristin, sometimes I would just give stuff away too. Because like this woman came to buy pillows. She was a student. And I was like, do you want these other pillows too? She's like, how much? I'm like, do you want them? She's like, I mean, it depends on the price. I'm like, free? She's like, free? I'm like, yeah. And then I gave her like all these like couch pillows, and it was cool. Like positive energy.
Oh, that's nice. Keeping like you said, can you get to connect with people this way?
Yeah. Yeah. And I would always, and then one thing I used to do too, Kristin, which is pretty embarrassing. I'd be like, when they would say, hey, thanks, we love the chairs or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, if you have time, go check out my YouTube page and subscribe. And I had a cut and paste like message for people. I'm like, hey, hope you like the item that you bought. Check me out on
that's
YouTube.
Awesome. You're selling more than just product. You're selling yourself.
I stopped doing that because I was like, I don't know.
Oh, why not though? You're a great comic, and this is. I think we all found our side hustle during the pandemic. I mean, for a while I was crocheting penises, for my Etsy shop because they sold, and I was like, I like money, so we all
crocheting the actual, using yarn, not crocheting.
Yeah, and just crocheting. They had squeakers in the testicles, and they were supposed to be a dog toy. For my live show, I just crocheted this little butt plug friend.
That's awesome.
I don't know. We all did weird stuff during the pandemic.
It's time for 5 quick questions.
To sell stuff, you have to find out what people would pay for it by looking at other things similar to yours. Right. I play trivia with all my guests on the show, and I have come up with some products, and I just need you to tell me a price within $25. This is going to be your 5 quick questions today. Question 1, or product number 1. This person, it's Snuggies. a supply of Snuggies. I work in a retirement home and got them there. A couple of them have some small stains. I think someone died in one of them, but no big deal. They've all been washed in hot water and OxyClean. How much for those Snuggies?
There's 3 in total. Three
That's
of them.
right. 3 in total. Yeah, 3 in total.
I'm gonna say $10.
They are free. These are free. These are free products. So you got it within. I'm having you guess fine. within $25. I'm giving you a pretty wide berth here.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, number 2. This was from Charleston, Arkansas. I got a white regular fridge for sale. Must take all food in it if you buy it. Runs good. Just needs wiped down. This is the. This is the fridge. That is the fridge. You got to tell me how much this fridge is being sold for.
Refrigerator. They spelled it.
Yeah,
okay.
Fridge-arator. F-R-I-G-A-R-A-T-E-R. Refrigerator.
And it says 7%. Did you see that he had 7% left on his phone? I mean, this guy is.
I want to look at some of the items in there. It looks like it's got biscuits, some hamburger meat. Yeah, hamburger meat, some lettuce down there. I think oozing a cheese drawer.
This has to be a joke, but I'm going to say he's charging $25.
Okay, the actual price for this refrigerator is $50. You get it within 25. All right, so far 2-0. You're doing great on this quiz. Doing great. Number 3. This is a strange one. The other 2 have been fairly
that one
regular. No, that was a refrigerator.
Oh, fair.
This is a 5-gallon aquarium full of beans.
Wow. Okay.
It looks to be an assortment of beans. I think there's some chips at the top. White beans, black beans. Looks like refried beans there.
I did actually sell a couple aquariums. So I'm going to say this one is $40.
The actual price of this is $80 is what they were asking for that. $80. So I think they were reaching. So
it's a little high.
Yeah. So you did not get that.
That's Colorado Springs again. So I think
Colorado Springs, they may overprice.
Yeah. Well, they did the free Snuggies, so they're all over the place.
That is true. Okay, this is another weird one. I'm going to give you another weird one. This one, this was my favorite. This is God, Jesus, and Satan signed in person this Bible from New Baltimore, Michigan. For sale, what they're asking, or best offer, rarest signatures ever, God, Jesus, and Satan all signed this Bible. Stay cool, John. God. Love God, or just God. Have a good summer, Jesus. Always nice to meet a fan. You're the ones who keep me going, Satan. So God, Jesus, and Satan signed this Bible. Within $25, what's your best guess?
How often do you get one of those signatures, let alone 3? Is it the Old Testament or is it the New Testament?
Looks like hang on, let's just look at the product one more time. Old and New Testament. And New Testament.
I'm going to say $25.
Wow. You're off slightly. They were asking for $10 million.
Oh, okay.
For this. Ever so slightly off. I mean, I don't think that's an indication that you're a bad pricer because you couldn't guess that price. I always
went too low. One thing I learned is I was going too low on my prices on Facebook Marketplace. But I also didn't have any I didn't have any autographed items, let alone God, Jesus, and Satan.
Here's the last product that I'm going to show you. This is a spa chair. This is number 5. Okay. Listed in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. That is your spa chair.
Oh, boy. Wow. That's a nice chair. And those actually were doing well I had a massage chair similar to that. I don't know what's going on in the feet area. The bin looks like it was also used to cook a turkey on Thanksgiving.
I think that should make it worth more.
Yeah, maybe. It depends on what kind of turkey it was. I'm going to go with $49.
You nailed it. It was $25. So you were definitely within your $25 mark. Absolutely. So you got 3 out of 5. Paul, well done.
Thank you,
Kristin. Smoked this trivia. You are super fun to talk to, but I can't let you leave until you play a Rad Lib with me. And now it's time for Rad Libs.
Okay.
Okay, have you ever played a Mad Lib before?
I have played Mad Libs.
Wonderful. This is just like that, except for I wrote it and I don't want to get sued by Mad Libs.
Rad.
Oh, here's what happened. I've written a story and I've left out some parts of speech. If you give me those parts of speech together, we're going to make a hilarious story. Are you ready to play
I am
Mad
ready.
Libs? I need an exclamation of disbelief.
Oh my gosh.
Excellent. We're off to a great start. I need a number.
17.
Yes. Does that have any significance or did it just pop into your head?
That's my lucky number.
Oh, okay. All right. Now we know. An article of clothing.
I'm going to go with right sock.
Yes. A decade.
80s.
Plural noun.
Dolphins.
Dolphins? Yes. You like dolphins?
Sure. Who doesn't?
Okay. A verb.
I'm going to go with jog.
Jog. Yes. Yeah. An adjective?
Pasty.
Pasty. I would be offended that you're looking at me. Pasty popped into your head, but I understand. It pops into my head all the time too. A friendly nickname.
Chum. I'm on a show called Chums, I think, and it just popped into my head because I saw it on my calendar. So
Something that plugs in.
a vintage massage thing. Self-massager.
Vintage self-massager. This is great. An activity.
Playing tennis.
A celebrity or famous person.
I'm going to go with Heather Graham.
Heather Graham. Oh, from Austin Powers.
She's my crush.
I haven't heard about her in years. What is she doing?
She has a boyfriend now. She was recently a mom, and she was, she has a boyfriend. What else is there to say?
Well, I don't even need to know anything else because she has a boyfriend. That's all you need to know.
It's just crap, like you work your way up this chain of celebrity and think that she might be on the down and you might be on the up, and then this guy just pops out of nowhere. He's not even funny.
I'm sorry I brought it up. I shouldn't have brought it up. I need a type of dishware.
Oh, I'm going to go with teapot.
Teapot. Yes! I love teapots. I'm a big tea drinker. Yes. A number.
4.
Oh, an oddly specific noun.
Knife handle.
Excellent. An adverb.
Quietly.
Natural disaster.
Hurricane.
An increment of time.
Half hour.
A noun.
Car.
We have a story. We have a fantastic story.
Okay.
It's called Sell Your Stuff on Facebook. When I tell people that there's a way to make money and clean your house at the same time, they say, oh my gosh, that's not possible. But it's 17% possible. If your closet is full of right socks from the 80s, if your collection of dolphins is taking up so much space you can't even jog in your own home, if your house is full and your bank account is pasty, then you, chum, need to sell your stuff on Facebook. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking computers, but I can't even set the timer on my vintage self-massager. But selling on Facebook is easier than playing tennis. A couple clicks and you'll be getting top dollar for your old Heather Graham collectible teapot set. So grab a good picture of your item. I recommend taking 4 photos to capture every possible angle. You want the buyer to see your item and think, that's the knife handle I've been looking for. Then price it quietly, sit back, and watch the money hurricane down. I've only been selling on Facebook for a half an hour, and I've already made enough money to buy a new car, and you can too.
Very accurate.
I know, half an hour's work,
I
whole
think
new car. I feel like you could have gotten more money for that self-massager if people knew it had a timer.
If there was such a thing in the 70s.
I set the timer on this. I'm going to be using you in about 20 minutes.
And here's the thing. You couldn't even use that. I know I'm still defending it because the minute you plug that in, it's so loud. Like your neighbors would know that you're using it improperly. Like it's just a great, it's a relaxer. Somebody in the Chicago Salvation Army radius is hopefully using it properly. For a sore back from a tennis game or jogging.
Paul, tell our listeners and viewers where they can find you and what you have coming up.
Well, they can find on Instagram, Paul Farahvar, common spelling. It's just, if you put Paul F-A-R, it should pop up. And YouTube, I have Paul F Comedy. I have a podcast, Singles Only, you can catch every week as well.
Oh, nice. Well, guys, follow, friend, and binge on the Singles Only podcast. Paul, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Kristin, for having me. I hope to work with you again really soon.
Interview complete. Stuffing Paul into an aquarium full of beans and selling him on Facebook Marketplace.
Computer lady, we've talked about this. That's not how we say goodbye to guests. Thanks again, Paul, for coming on the show. What a great time. Guys, thank you for listening to Kristin Knows Blank. Please take a second to like, follow, subscribe, and review this podcast. And find me online through my website, kristinkey.com. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Become my friend on all my social media. Join the Patreon. It supports this and all my shows. And get a cameo from me. They're really fun. I write a song for everybody that gets one. Each week, I'll be bringing you another hilarious comedian. We'll chit-chat. We'll play 5 quick questions, do a rad lib, and we'll all go home happy. So until next time, bye.
We're gonna talk to some people, gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna talk to some people, gonna learn a lot of stuff. We're gonna talk to some people, gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna talk to some people, gonna learn a lot of stuff. 'Cause Kristin